Hey guys, I'm Brittany from Acre Roots, where we talk about growing a lot on a little bit of space, and today we are talking about all of my favorite sources for my fruit trees, shrubs, and other edible perennials in my yard. I get asked this question a lot: where do I like to buy my stuff from? My answer is always buy locally from a small independent nursery if you can, but a lot of times that's just not practical if you're looking for things that are a little bit more on the rarer side, or if you're looking for bare root plants. So we're going to talk about some of my favorite places that I've ordered from. There are 6 places I'm going to cover today, and I'm going to show you everything that I have gotten from each of these places. I also looked up a little bit of background information for all of the places I'm going to talk about, so I'll share some of that with you, and we are going to get started with Gurney's. Gurney's was founded in the mid-1800s, which definitely makes it one of the oldest mail-order nursery companies in existence in the US, at least. They are headquartered in Indiana, and they are really well known for fruit trees, berry plants, asparagus crowns, seed potatoes, stuff like that. They also have extensive information about growing the things that you buy online, so if you are new to one of the plants you buy and you want support, Gurney's is a really good option. They also have some really unique things, and they have a really good guarantee. So I got one of the unique things from Gurney's. It was a thornless boysenberry plant. So I planted it in the ground, cut it down, got it to sprout this spring, and then we had a really freak cold snap and it died. It just wasn't a strong enough plant to survive that kind of a weather event, and Gurney's, no questions asked, they issued me a store credit that I will probably just use next year to rebuy the same plant and try again because they are sold out for this year. So we're gonna head out for a little walk in the garden to show you guys some of the things that I have gotten from Gurney's and how they are looking. Other than the thornless boysenberry plant, everything I've gotten from Gurney's is gorgeous and beautiful. The first thing I know I've talked about here on my channel before is my rhubarb. I ordered a 3-pack of Glaskins perpetual rhubarb from Gurney's, and these came as bare root crowns. They did not look like much of anything when I first planted them. This is actually only one plant on its, I think, second or third year, but we are getting way more rhubarb than we can keep up with. So I've been chopping and freezing these stalks, and plus it just is a really nice, gorgeous, big ground cover. It's been super healthy. I did end up realizing how much space these plants took up, and since we are in a smaller space, I gave away one of the other rhubarbs, and then I moved one of them to our Master Gardener demonstration garden into one of our permaculture beds, because rhubarb is an excellent permaculture plant. And take a look in here at all of these gorgeous stalks in here. So this one, I'm extremely happy with how vigorous it has come back this year. I expect to be harvesting from this one for many, many years to come. I mentioned our Master Gardener demonstration garden, and this is an example of something that I first encountered and tasted in our Master Gardener demonstration garden, and then went and ordered from Gurney. So this is a yellow Ann raspberry, a golden raspberry, and this was actually developed, I believe, at the University of Maryland, which is awesome because we are in Maryland. These are so delicious. And if growing in my backyard is any indication of how aggressive they are, I do find them to be a little bit less aggressive of spreaders than red raspberries, which can be good if you don't want your raspberries to take over your patch, bad if you want to be overwhelmed in raspberries. They do spread, I would say, like mediumly prolifically in our demonstration garden. We have found them like running down into the grass, and there's like a little grass patch between where we have our Ann yellow raspberries and our native sunbed, and we have found some of the raspberries popping up in that native sunbed because they're obviously not finding success in the grass because they just get mowed over. So we've had to dig those up, but they've also been there for several years, and I think this is the first year we found them in our native sunbed. So overall, I would say a little bit less of an aggressive spreader than your traditional red raspberries, but they are so good. Highly recommend the Ann variety, and if you have trouble finding them locally, which I did, you gotta order them online, and I just found that Gurney's was a great source for that. I have also gotten most of my strawberries, other than ones I've like dug up from my mom's or picked up from some random roadside stand. I've gotten most of my strawberries from Gurney's, and I've got 2 different kinds of strawberries in my garden. I have everbearing strawberries, which give you a smaller harvest for a longer period of time, pretty much throughout like most of summer into early fall. And then I have June-bearing strawberries, which give you a bigger harvest in the June-ish time frame. I have my ever-bearing strawberries up in this bed. These are the Ever-Sweet ever-bearing strawberries. And I did end up moving these last fall I had them planted between our asparagus plants over here in our asparagus patch, and ended up moving them just because I was finding that when I let the asparagus fern out, it was shading the strawberries too much. So these are a little bit more behind than if I would have just let them stay in the ground. So I'm expecting to get some berries from this side this year, and then over here I'm just hoping this year will be the year that I let them completely fill out this whole area in this raised bed. And another tip for you guys, I like growing the strawberries in this elevated garden bed because I just find it's easier to protect the berries. I have the netting off right now just because there are really no berries I'm protecting, but I can easily pull this netting over these hoops when I have berries that I want to protect from the birds. And then of course my yellow green stalk is filled completely top to bottom with my Gurney's Whopper strawberries. And these are Juneberry strawberries, so we don't have many berries on these right now, but I picked a bunch a couple weeks ago, and then these plants are still getting established too because I just planted up this green stalk with bare root strawberries early season this year. So I expect to get lots of berries from this one. This year, I'm just focusing on trimming down the runners. And if they are throwing out some good looking runners, rooting them in some of my strawberry cups here and then cutting them off and throwing them elsewhere in the yard, just because I love strawberries as a living mulch. It can be a really nice way to fill out an area with something that just serves as like a practical ground cover. And I'll show you guys what I mean, where I've put some of those strawberries back here by my peach tree. You can see that I have put lots of strawberries down here under my peach trees. So they are multiplying prolifically. Some of these are a mix of little berry plants that I've dug up from my mom's patch, which is all volunteer strawberries. And some of these are some of the Whopper strawberries that I've rooted from my green stalk. So we are looking good, and we are hoping to be drowning in berries and have enough little rooted plants to dig up and share next year because I love sharing strawberry plants. And then last up to spotlight on plants that we've gotten from Gurney's is our Hall's Hardy Almond tree up here in the front yard. I saw that my neighbor got one, and I could not believe that we could grow hardy almonds here in Maryland's N7A, so I immediately asked her, where did you get that? I will get the exact same one. She told me Gurney's, and that was my first plant that I ever got from Gurney's. So it was teeny tiny when we got it, and it is looking really big and healthy and gorgeous by now. I do need to come in and prune this one a little bit more next year because the reason we can grow Hall's Hardy Almond trees and any hardy almond trees here in Maryland is because they are grafted onto peach rootstock. So they have a lot of the same issues that peach trees can have. So I need to come in here and do a little bit of heavier pruning, and I want to keep this one a little bit shorter. It has really exploded with growth this year. So when the plant is dormant early next season, I need to come in here and chop the top a little bit and open up the canopy. But overall, extremely healthy, extremely happy with this one, and I'm looking forward to getting some almonds. Guys, filming in my front yard is so embarrassing because people always walk by, especially on nice days like today, and they wonder what the hell I'm doing and who I'm talking to. I think they often assume I'm like on FaceTime or something like that, but that just happened and now I'm a little bit embarrassed. So we're moving back to the backyard to talk about some more of the plants that I have back here from our second nursery that we're talking about, which is Stark Brothers. I would say by far I have spent the most money at Stark Brothers. I have spent so much money at Stark Brothers, and I have been extremely happy with the service and the plants that we've gotten from them. So I am happy to recommend them and happy to continue giving them more and more of my money. So I'm gonna start off by showing you guys the earliest thing that we ever got from Stark Brothers and working up to some of the more recent things we ordered this year. I learned this when I was researching for this video. Stark Brothers was founded in the early 1800s and is considered America's oldest continually running nursery. Much like Gurney's, they offer a lot of help and informational articles online about the plants that you're buying if you're new to growing them. So that's really great source of reliable information. And they offer a lot of interesting and harder to find varieties of things that's a bigger nursery. You're gonna find lots of dwarf options, which is really great for smaller space growers like me. So I'm not gonna show you guys everything that we've gotten from Stark because that would take me hours because I would just yammer on for a while about it. But this is the first tree that we ever got from Stark Brothers. And this is a peach tree. Yes, I know it is too dense. I under pruned it this year. This was really the first year that I did a ton of pruning on this peach tree because it has really taken off with growth from last year to this year. And I honestly thought I over pruned it, but it has exploded with growth this year. So I might come in here and do some light summer pruning, but next year when it is dormant, I'm definitely going to be topping this one off a little bit more because it's getting too tall. I want to keep it reachable and I want to open up the canopy a lot more for next year. No peaches this year because we had a really freak late season freeze that nuked a lot of fruit trees and plants in this area, and that unfortunately got a lot of the backyard growers as well. This is a Red Haven peach and this is a semi-dwarf. I don't think this one one came bare root. I can't really remember, but it was pretty small when it came, and so I've gotten excellent growth out of this one over the last 3 or so years. Another fruit tree we got from Stark around the same time, this one was bare root but was a little bit smaller than the peach when we got it, is our Methley plum. I did end up coming in here and doing some serious pruning on the top because it just got a little unruly. Again, this one really exploded with growth. I started using a new fruit tree booster fertilizer this year on all of my fruit trees and shrubs, and I'm wondering if that isn't the reason why these really exploded with growth this year. So I came in here and pruned down a lot of these because I just found that the tree was leaning way too much to the left side. You can see it's still leaning a little bit more, so I need to work with that a bit, but I tried to do some shaping a couple weeks ago just to trim this one down a bit. And you don't have to prune plums as aggressively as you do peaches, but this Methley plum can get quite large. So again, I went to prune this one down to keep it more of a dwarf or semi-dwarf size. And I'm definitely looking forward to the year that we finally get some plums from this one, but it is happy and healthy now. So again, I just have to be patient for my plums. Another little guy that we got from Stark around the same time as we got the Methley plum is this Fuyu Asian persimmon. This one came as like a little whip when we got it. So just a single little twig, essentially. And this one was bare root as well. So these are a little bit slower growing and they are later to bud up and leaf out. So this one is a little bit behind, but it's on its own pace and we're seeing some good growth here, some new shoots coming out of the main trunk. So I'm really happy about this one. This one will get a little bit larger and I am probably going to let it get a little bit larger because eventually this area will be filled out by the persimmon and this pawpaw back here, which is also something we got as a little whip from Stark Brothers. And this one's also starting to give us some great growth. Last year we struggled with this one because the groundhogs and the bunnies would come in and just chew down anything that leafed out. So they were a little bit behind. I had to put some cages and some mesh around them, but once we did that, they recovered. And now this year they are tall enough that the bunnies aren't really bothering them and the groundhogs seem to be bothering other things. So I expect that this year is the year that these will really start to take off. This one was also a bare root, and I found that there were lots of really great selections of pawpaws to choose from at Stark Brothers. So if you're looking for a pawpaw and you can't find it locally, which surprisingly, even though it's a native fruit here where we live in Maryland, I could not find a good pawpaw locally, then Stark Brothers is probably a good place to check. Okay, moving on from our more traditional fruit trees, I want to show you guys one more type of fruit tree we got from Stark Brothers before we move on to some shrubs and bushes we've gotten from them. That is our 3 columnar apple trees. So it's pretty incredible how differently these have leafed out and acclimated to being planted. This one has a ton of leaves. This one has a little bit more and looks kind of sad. And then this one up here is just barely leafing out. So I don't expect much from these for the first year. Obviously, they need to get acclimated and happy where they are growing. But the thing I like about these is that since they grow straight up, they don't grow out. And the apples eventually are supposed to grow like off of the main stem here. You can plant them pretty close together and they grow up like columns. I will be very, very curious to see how these do in terms of their disease resistance, in terms of their production, and in terms of how they overwinter this year and come back next year. But the columnar varieties are definitely something worth checking out if you are in a smaller space and you are looking to grow something that typically would be a pretty big tree, but you don't want to deal with having like the big open canopy taking up more space, and you want to try something that's just going to grow straight up. I'm going to take a quick look at our red raspberry patch here because I have gotten some raspberries from Stark as well. Generally, raspberries are pretty easy to find locally, but I actually caught some of these heritage red raspberries on a really good sale at Stark a couple years ago. So I got them, just like added them to an existing fruit tree order, which is what I always end up doing. I could buy something locally, but then I'm like, well, as long as I'm buying this fruit tree, I could buy some more stuff. And I specifically was looking for heritage red raspberries because they're supposed to be big and reliable and nice and juicy. So in our red raspberry patch here, we have really a mix of different types of raspberries. I have some raspberries that I put in from my neighbor's yard that I dug up, and you can see we're starting to get some lovely red raspberries in here. And then up here, I have some heritage red raspberries as well. So they're all just kind of mixed in together by this point. I don't really get too wound up about it. So they're all just kind of mixed in here. And I do find them to be a little bit bigger than some of the other varieties of raspberries, so they make a really great addition to your red raspberry garden. In addition to the red raspberries, we also have some thornless blackberry plants up in the front yard that are from Stark. I can't remember the variety exactly, but they're thornless, they're prolific, they're gorgeous. It's a great source for if you're looking for something that's thornless and is not going to be as prolific of a spreader as you may be used to with some of like the more wild blackberry varieties. Like, people freaked out when I said I put blackberries in our front garden, but honestly, I have found blackberries to be much less prolific spreaders than red raspberries. Blackberries you can kind of keep contained to like a shrub form, and if you stake them, you can keep them kind of neat and tidy. But red raspberries and raspberries in general are just gonna do whatever they want. They're gonna go wherever they want. So I found that blackberries are a pretty good choice for a front yard edible garden, especially if you can get a thornless variety and something that's gonna give you those big juicy berries. And last up from Stark today, this is not the last thing I've ordered from them, but it's the last thing we're gonna talk about today. That is our bare root asparagus crowns, which you can see are 2 rows of asparagus behind me here. These have all now ferned out for the season. That is a necessary part of growing your asparagus to make sure that it can charge up again and replenish all the energy in that root system for next year's crop. This is a millennium asparagus, and I ordered our asparagus from Stark because I wanted to get bare root crowns. I wanted to get a jump start on the growing process that'll buy you like a year or 2 compared to starting from seed. And I wanted to go somewhere really reputable where I knew exactly what type of asparagus I was getting. And we have been incredibly happy with how these have grown. This year we had like more asparagus than we could keep up with. I had to make soups and freeze it. I had to pickle some and eat it. Like, I was just eating asparagus every day for several weeks. I do have a video all about growing asparagus on here where I talk through the whole planting process, since it is a little bit more involved than just like throwing something in the ground. So if you're interested in that, check out that video. But this has been a great source of perennial food for us, and we are really happy with the bare root crowns that we got from Stark. Okay, we are back up in the front yard in Currant Row to talk about another nursery, Raintree Nursery. So we're getting into kind of some of the smaller and more specialty nurseries on our list of places that I like to shop from. Raintree is located in Washington State. They are an excellent source for harder to find berries and trees and fruits and stuff that you especially might find in the permaculture world. And critically, they are a source for a lot of bare root plants, which I love planting bare root plants. I've gotten quite a few things from Raintree. It was kind of a gamble at first because I didn't know anything about the nursery. I didn't know anyone who had gotten anything from them, so I ordered a couple things. I was extremely happy with the shipping, the customer service, how everything looked when it got to me. So first we're going to talk about some of these currants. I ended up purchasing these last fall as a bare root spring order, pre-order. So they do a lot of pre-ordering. You can order a lot of stuff for immediate shipping, but they do a lot of pre-ordering, I assume, to just kind of help them like plan their supply and shipping and everything, since they are a smaller nursery. So last fall, I pre-ordered a pink currant, a white currant, and a red currant in specific varieties that I was looking for that I had researched. Pre-ordered that last fall, and then it was very exciting when I got an email this spring saying your order is coming out for delivery in a couple weeks. And I'd kind of like forgotten I had ordered them and already paid for them. So that was very exciting. So these went in as teeny tiny twigs, and then all of this growth on here that you can see, this is all brand new for the season. And I'm pretty sure that if my black currants are any indication of how these are going to grow, that we're probably going to get some currants off of them next year, because I did get a black currant from them as well as part of a different order, and that one has started fruiting this year, which I'm very excited about. Now, a word of caution on currants. You'll see this on their website when you put in your shipping information. There are some things that they cannot ship to certain states just because of local restrictions and regulations. Currants and plants related to them can carry a disease that can kill off pine trees, some pine trees. They are not restricted where I live in Maryland. So look into your local regulations, look at your local ag extension to see what regulations are on currants and related plants before putting any of those in your garden. But if you can put them in your garden, it's a really excellent plant. I also love how I have my black currants kind of up here closer to the house because those can have a little bit more shade. So it's nice to be able to have some fruiting plants up here in the front yard in an area that ends up getting shaded more earlier in the afternoon just because of the pattern of the sun. Blueberries are generally something that I can find the variety of what I'm looking for locally, but in certain cases I do have to go online to find specific varieties, and this is one of those cases. I ended up getting this from Raintree. I got one legacy blueberry and one Darrow blueberry. So those are known to be varieties that do really well where we live and also produce really nice big fruits. We haven't gotten any berries from these plants yet, but they have been leafing out beautifully last year and this year. This year they've really taken off. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they progress in the future, but the plants came super healthy and they have acclimated very well. Last up from Raintree, these were kind of an impulse addition to another order, but I got 2 types of black elderberry bushes. So I want to prune these up into like small trees. So this one right here is our black lace elderberry, and the foliage is just darker than a traditional elderberry. It comes out kind of what you might expect from an elderberry, a nice green, and then it darkens to this black color. So I'm going to keep this one pruned up to be more of like a small tree or like kind of a bonsai shrub here by the pond. I saw my friends had a beautiful elderberry by their pond and I just thought like, oh, I love that. It looks so pretty. So I want to add one of these by the pond. We also got a black lace elderberry to go along with it. And this one is taking a little bit longer to get established. We planted them at exactly the same time, but this one is taking off a little bit more slowly. This variety is a little different in that it should stay a little bit more compact but get taller. So maybe that's why this one looks like it isn't as big, because the foliage is pretty dense on this one as well. And I don't think the black types of elderberry are even really grown for their berries. I actually have them mostly for ornamental purposes here around the pond, and I'm really looking forward to how they develop over the years to add to this kind of like cultivated wild approach I'm going for by our pond. All right, the last small nursery we're going to talk about today is Cricket Hill Garden. And it can be kind of confusing because I'm pretty sure their URL is like treepeony.com or something like that. And they specialize in a lot of different varieties of peonies. And I don't really grow peonies. Is it peonies or peonies? I don't know. I have a couple that are in the yard just randomly around, and they're not my favorite, but I know lots of people really love them. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely check out this place. The reason why I ended up ordering from Cricket Hill Garden is because they had 2 things I was really looking for. I was looking for a specific type of goji berry and 2 specific types of goumi berries. I was looking for a Phoenix Tears goji berry, and the Phoenix Tears that we got from them is looking really happy here. Something's been like eaten on it a little bit early this season, but we just planted this last fall as like a teeny tiny little stick, and it has really taken off. So I'm looking forward to this one getting nice and tall and sprawling and filling out this area as kind of an anchor plant. And then for my goumi berries, these are the plants that I get asked about the most. These are very hard to find, and if you find a nursery that has them, they're almost always sold out. This is actually the whole reason I found this nursery and was like willing to risk ordering from a place that looked like mostly like a flower place, because I couldn't find them anywhere else, right? I couldn't find them from any of the other sources that people were recommending. So I was looking for sweet scarlet and red gem goumi berries, and these are what the plants look like now. They have taken off absolutely beautifully. I think they're really, really pretty shrubs. So I put them up here next to our patio so that we can have something that is both decorative and a valuable source of berries. No berries on these yet, but they're super healthy. And I just love the fact that the undersides of the leaves are this gorgeous silver. Hopefully you guys can see that. So when they blow in the wind and you can kind of see the undersides of the leaves, they're really stunning plants. And since these are so hard to find, I'm gonna be trying to root some cuttings for a couple people who have asked if I can share. They are notoriously a little bit harder to root, so we'll see how that goes. Now that the plants are getting bigger, I will not feel so bad cutting off some areas to try and root. So if you are looking to get a goumi berry, check out Cricket Hill Garden. And what I would recommend you do is, if there is a variety or a plant you're looking for that is out of stock, sign up for an alert when they get restocked. So originally I had ordered one of these plants that was in stock at the time. There was another variety that I wanted that was out of stock. So I put my email in, and then the second I got an email saying it was back in stock, I went and I ordered it, and then it sold out pretty quickly again. So that is a good way to guarantee that you will know when they go back into stock. And I was extremely happy with the shipping and everything from this smaller nursery. So highly recommend it if you are looking to invest in some goumi berries for your yard and are just having a really hard time them locally. Okay, the last place we're going to talk about about is I saved it for last because it is my newest source of fruit trees and shrubs, and it's also the only one in this list that as of filming this, I currently have any sort of affiliate relationship with. So fastgrowingtrees.com contacted me to see if I wanted to become an affiliate, and initially, I have to be honest, I was a little bit hesitant to move forward because I hadn't ordered anything from them, and I didn't really know what the quality would be like from a larger nursery. Like, I hear them advertised on a lot of the podcasts I listen to, and sometimes like I'll side eye, like, is this really a place like a serious gardener would get their plants from if I hear them advertised like everywhere? So I reached out to one of my friends, Farmer Nick. He's got a pretty big Instagram profile. That's where I follow him. I'm sure he's elsewhere. He's awesome. So I reached out to him just saying like, hey, have you ever ordered from Fast Growing Trees? You know, what are your thoughts on them? And he told me, yeah, that's where like my whole orchard is from. Great quality plants. I really like their selection. So his recommendation was golden to me. So I decided to move forward with it and get some stuff from them to try it out. I'm going to show you guys what I've gotten from them and my initial thoughts on the whole process. First of all, I will say the shipping was great, just like all of the other places I've ordered from. No complaints on shipping from them. And obviously they have a really big selection because it is a bigger nursery. So I'm going to show you guys the trees I got from them first, and then I'm going to show you guys some of the shrubs and give you just some thoughts on that process. Now, this is the first year that both of the trees that we got from Fast Growing Trees are in the ground, so they are looking like a little bit sad. Even though we planted them pretty early in the season this year, it typically is going to take like a good year for them to really get rooted and to take off with new growth and look super healthy. So our cherry tree, we got a Lapins cherry tree from them, and that is looking the better of the two that we got. No signs of any cherry tree issues, which we have had in the past on a cherry tree that we had from a different source, and it actually died because it just got infected with a cherry leaf spot when it was too young, and then the plant died. The only thing I will say about ordering plants from them, I'm not sure if this is the case for all of their fruit trees, but these were not bare root plants. So these came in pots, which is generally not going to be my favorite way to plant trees. It may seem good at first because you're getting a bigger product, but when you have a bare root tree, it experiences less shock when you put it into the ground, right? And so then it's able to establish itself in the spot where it is going to grow forever, and you don't kind of deal with the shock of taking it out of the pot and taking it out of the soil and loosening up those roots. But that said, like, potted trees can be really beautiful. They can be really lovely additions to your garden, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this one does. So far, it has done much better than the bare root cherry tree that we planted 2 years ago, so there's a point in favor for Fast Growing Trees here. The second one that we got is looking extremely sad. And again, I'm not too worried about it. This is a nectarine. It has not dropped all of its leaves, but we've had some weird weather this year. This is a Fantasia nectarine here. And honestly, there is a chance I may dig this up and move it this fall, just because fall is such a great time to transplant plants. And I didn't really expect much from this one this first year because we got it in the ground a little later than I would normally like. And I knew from experience that the first year our peach tree was in the ground, it looked kind of sad too. So we'll see how this one shapes up next year and how this one responds to some dormant season pruning early next year. I'll definitely update you guys on this one. I would not say it's a fail at all. I would always tell people when you are putting fruit trees in the ground, don't expect much the first year, and if they look sad the first year, it's not the end of the world. A lot of times they will rebound with a full year in their new environment and look beautiful next year. But some things look good their first year in the ground, and our fall gold yellow raspberries that we got from Fast Growing Trees are looking pretty good too. I do find that for things like raspberries, it does not matter if they're bare root or if they're potted. These came in a big pot. We have lots of new growth on these already, and then have already gotten some berries from last year's growth, just a couple. These I expect will really come into their own next year, and they have passed that critical period of early season growth where I'm not sure if they're going to survive or not. These are very similar to the Ann raspberries, and that they are big and gold and very sweet and delicious, and they are generally going to fruit later on in the season unless you keep up the canes from last year, like this guy right here, which I've picked some berries off of. So my daughter loves golden raspberries, so any golden raspberries I can add to the garden is excellent for me because raspberries, if you have kids or if you just really like raspberries, you know that the berry budget is nuts. Like berries are expensive and raspberries are one of those things that you plant once and you will never have to plant again. So I'm looking forward to this whole area, famous last words, being just taken over by red and golden raspberries. And I don't really mind that the fall gold and the Anne are right next to each other because they're gonna kind of come into their own at the same time of year. And if they get kind of mixed up, like whatever, this is just my golden raspberry patch and I'm fine with that. Last up on our fast growing trees list that I'm going to spotlight are 2 blueberry bushes I got from them. So I got my first rabbit eye blueberry bush varieties. Rabbit eye is a type of blueberry bush. It's not a variety of blueberry. It more so describes like how the plant grows. So rabbit eye varieties can get really large, and I've really wanted to get a pink lemonade blueberry plant for a while, but it's a rabbit eye and I needed another rabbit eye pollinator for it. So I ended up getting 2 rabbit eye blueberries from Fast Growing Trees. I believe this one right here is our pink lemonade, which is going to stay a little bit smaller. And then the one that's going to get like 7 to 8 feet tall is back here. So my long-term plan is to remove this aster as the blueberry gets really big, and it'll be just kind of like a big blueberry shrub back here behind the pond next to the goji berry, just anchoring things in place. And then we will have the pink lemonade up here, easily accessible for picking. So I wanted to incorporate some more edible shrubs around the pond area with a lot of the native plants and perennials we have up here. So I think that the blueberries are going to be really nice structural shrubs for up here because even when they're done fruiting or before they're fruiting, they're really pretty shrubs. Like they're nice ornamental shrubs to add to your garden, even when they're not producing blueberries. Okay, so those are like my top places to go if I can't find something locally or if I'm looking for something really specific. But I would definitely be remiss if I did not completely underscore the fact that I am cheap. In addition to liking to shop locally, I also love a good bargain and I love like trading things if I can with local people. So pretty much the only reason why I keep Facebook is for groups and marketplace, and I've gotten a lot of really great plants for super cheap locally off of either Facebook Marketplace, searching for specific things. We've gotten pond plants like that, or through my city, my county areas, like local informal plant buy sell trade group on Facebook. So look into that if you have a local one. Also, I am a master gardener. We have a yearly plant sale. I go to other counties' master gardener plant sales to get plants for cheap, especially like native plants. But I know at our sale, we dig up a lot of stuff from our demonstration garden and we sell a lot of really interesting edibles. Like that's where some of my gooseberries came from. Another variety of gooseberries that I have, I got a plant baby from our neighbor across the street. So make friends with other gardeners. My passion flower vine came from someone off a local Facebook plant group. And then my most prolific blackberry bushes came from my mom's next door neighbor who grows beautiful blackberry bushes. And I just asked her, like in the fall, can I dig up some of these and have them? Because all you need is like a little plant and then it's going to turn into a beautiful plant next year. And then a lot of my red raspberries came from digging them up from my neighbor's yard. So like, honestly, I'm not the most like social extrovert person in the world, but like make friends with other garden people and they will be happy to share with you. And then you in turn can share with other people. Okay, so that about wraps up my recap of where I like to shop for plants online and some tips on finding them locally. I'm gonna go prune some of my tomato plants before it gets too hot out here. So until my next video, happy planting.